Jai Hind. Great good morning to all. I, Smith Kumar Singh, present in front of you with a new question of a UPSC Civil Services 1995 question paper in Q&A answer, question answer session. Is that clear? Optional subject, political science and international relation, and the question here is comment on the following: A, representative bureaucracies. Clear? So in this video I am going to present you a model answer, and we will look what do you mean by, or what do you understand by representative bureaucracy. Is that clear? And how the representative bureaucracy benefiting the poor and vulnerable section of the society, or how it creating a form of representation in which each and every section of the society get an equal proportion of representation in bureaucracy. And by taking three examples of United States of America, United Kingdom, and as well as India, and at the last we will also look what were the some limitations of, or what were the some disadvantages of representative bureaucracy. Is that clear? So let us start. I am going to present you a model answer only. Even you can take it as an example and write it during your answer writing practice. You may write even the best out of the best by taking some clue, some points from this answer. Is that clear? So let us start. Comment on the following. Question is what you understand by representative bureaucracies. Bureaucracy is an instrument and means of a public administration, but because of its durable, stable nature and expertise, it becomes a repository of authority and power in the state. Bureaucracy as an organized systematic institution of the state as a part of democratic structure like government, bureaucracy in modern time is expected to be a responsive and representative in relation to the peoples of the country. It has to be responsive to the desire of the people. The functions assigned to it by the government, that is executive in nature, have to be performed by it to their satisfaction of the general citizen. Concept of representative bureaucracy is that is based on the social groups should have appropriate or main and representative in administrative as well as the political positions. The term representative bureaucracy was coined by Donald J. Kingsley in his book Representative Bureaucracy, published in 1944. He urged in his book on the need for liberalization of social class selection for bureaucracy in England. He urged that the only representative bureaucracy would respond to changes in political currents, whereas a non-representative bureaucracy would sabotage the demand of a party whose policies may be at odds with the class from which bureaucracy is drawn. And Kingsley's argument is that representative bureaucracy is necessary because there must be some administrators sympathetic to the policies of a party in power. In a democracy, he felt competence itself is not enough. He also urged that the public service must be representative if the state to liberate rather than to enslave. And representative bureaucracy was evolved to argue for a less elite-oriented and a less class-based bureaucracy. And now we have to look. Why representative bureaucracy? Why we need representative bureaucracy? And the plea for representative bureaucracy it is advanced on several grounds. On the ground first, or the point number one, we can raise that a genuine democracy ought to have a representative legislature or the parliament, a representative executive, that is a ministry, and also representative bureaucracy, that is civil servant. Without the bureaucracy being representative, the country's political system would not be entirely democratic, and because all laws and rules and policies of the government are finally put into action by the bureaucracy or the civil servant. And the second ground or second point for bureaucracy to be representative is that the welfare and the development functions meant for the poorer or disadvantaged section of the society would not be fulfilled to satisfaction of this section of the society unless the element belonging to the poorer section handle those functions. Now, point number 3. Another ground for representative bureaucracy advanced Britain during the World War in the first and second in India after independence is based on the need for a harmonious or at least congenial relations between the political elements, including the ministers and the higher level civil servant, that is joint secretary, chief secretary and the cabinet secretary. And the minister and the legislature and democracy tend to come from a lower economic and social section in a larger number, and progressively at successive elections to parliament or legislatures or local government further their advice to the political executive would be narrow in range, a crisis of understanding arising out of lack of identify of views and outcome might developed between the political executive and the civil servant, and the possibility of disloyalty of the higher civil servant to the political executive may be far away, but occasion of differences in opinion and at the time of conflict are at a distant possibility, and there were many instances of such disharmony between the political executive and higher civil servant in India. Let's compare this situation in United Kingdom, Britain and the United States of America. First we will see in the United Kingdom or the Britain example. So in Britain, the social composition of the administrative class in Britain is elitist through the working class, and the lower middle class entrants to it have increased in number with the spread of higher education among them. Recent university graduates from the working class are now entering the higher civil services through open competition, besides being promoted from the subordinate grades. During post-war years, even the scholars of the working class origin were at universities with the help of state scholarship. In 1966, significant component of the total membership of the administrative class of the extent of the 40% were promoted from the lower ranks compared to with only 13% of the permanent secretaries and deputy secretaries, and this factor of the situation has also somewhat lessened the elitist heights of the administrative class in the Britain. In Britain, the representativeness of bureaucracy of higher civil services is affected or reduced by the two factors. Point number 1, predominance in the higher civil services of the honours graduate of the universities of Oxford and Cambridge, among whom there is a large percentage of students from select public schools to the neglect of honours graduate from other British universities. Overrepresentation of the upper and higher middle class in the higher civil services in comparison with the proportion in the country's working population, resulting in the underrepresentation of the lower social strata of the population. Now, situation is United States of America. Even in the United States of America, with its more egalitarian educational system, the bureaucracy is not representative. In United States of America, job in the public administration at the level like the federal, state and the local government have not been as attractive as the job in the private sector. Self-employment in businesses, industry and shopkeeping and independent professions has also been favored, as being in keeping with the independent spirit of the Americans. Further, a unified career civil services in United States of America is the recent origin, and even now it engages a very small percentage of the total number of middle level jobs in the public administration. Specialists and the technical jobs in the public administration are in a majority, and officials holding there frequently move in and out. In Britain and USA, there is an unrepresentation of the manual workers in the public administration higher level services in comparison with their share in the total working population in the country. Now, the situation in the country by and large, the study have found that the higher civil services generalist as well as the specialist contain a large representation of the upper caste, higher income level families and in the urban dwellers. In India, the lower caste and the middle class or the rural dwellers are underrepresented in the civil services or the higher post in civil servant. The regions are there were many regions of underrepresentation of the lower or middle or the rural classes in the civil services. And the reason is like the number one, the spread of higher education among the lower caste and classes is slow, and although after independence it has picked up in the extent and pace. Point number two, proportion of dropout from the primary to secondary and the secondary to university level is still very high, and mainly due to the economic regions or the financial constraints. Now, the minimum education standard for eligibility for the competitive examination at the higher service and graduation, but the proportion for the competitive examination or the preparation of the competitive examination take a couples of years more after the passing of the first graduation of the Bachelor of Arts or BSc. And the second, there were many steps which is taken by the government of India after independence, like the several concession has been granted or given to the SC and ST scheduled caste or scheduled tribe by the central or state government, like the age relaxation, reservation criteria, coaching classes, scholarship and in-service trainings, and there were many facilities and scholarship provided by the central or the state government for upliftment of the poor people or the poor middle classes or the rural class, the people belong or the citizen belong from the rural India, so that they will able to get a higher education at the now you can say that the right to education is also fundamental right which is included by the government of India. So spreading education or literacy rate increasing day by day, and it will give a boost up for the higher education student from the lower or the middle class or for the rural India to get into the higher education or pass the university or get the degree and appear in the UPSC civil services examination and qualify and after qualifying they will be reach the topmost services or topmost post of the Indian civil servant, like the chief secretary, cabinet secretary or the joint secretary of the government of India as well as the state government. Now, there were some limitations of the representative bureaucracy, and as we know that there were you can say that there were some advantage and disadvantage of each and every project, and you can say that each and every scheme, each and every plan. So advantage and disadvantage are the two faces of the same coin. Let us look what are the limitations or what are the disadvantages of representative bureaucracy. Principal plea for representative bureaucracy has been accepted. A number of the practices difficulties stand in way of its realization. The generalist service personnel are selected on the basis of education qualification, say BA or university, within the age of limit preferable at a young age of 21. And for a specialist service requisite specialist technical professions or scientific and qualification are necessary, and in cases of the senior post experience in respective areas, say engineering, statistics, computer programming, etc. is called for, and the member of such lower classes in society are not in a position to receive university education, mostly because their parents, guardians cannot afford to send their children or what to the college or universities for higher education or for a specialist in any sector or in any degree. In respect of the specialist post, it is still more difficult to socially and economically backward sections to compete, because they not be able to receive a specialist degree, for example in the engineering, medicine, agronomy, etc. And if they could not receive a specialist degree, acquiring experiences such as a specialist position is not possible to them. Now, point number 2, the government service requires skill and training, different from those needed by the society. Chester Winard, for example, has urged that the introduction of technological innovation requires managerial capability, and managerial functions are not routine and cannot be undertaken by anyone. It needs the ability to act under pressure, and officials must assume responsibility under the condition of risks and require greater trainings in the specialized functions. Now, point number 3. In the plural society, the representative bureaucracy will have adverse consequences. Insistence of representation of different social, ethnic, and geographical groups, but as an invitations to practical and narrow-mindedness, the representative bureaucracy in such case would represent divisive forces than becoming a homogeneous and integrated system. It undermines rationality and a logic in which the present system of the merit bureaucracy is based. Bureaucracy is based on the professionalism, rationality, and the homogeneity. Introducing representative bureaucracy is to introduce heterogeneity in the bureaucratic systems. Now, representative bureaucracy is a concept associated with the realization of the political ideals and representative democracy in both the popular democracies of the world, polity, Britain, which is the matter of parliamentary democracy, which is the mother of the parliamentary democracy, and the United States of America, which is the largest democracy in terms of geographical extent. The concept of representative bureaucracy is not fully resolved. Along with the attributes of the representing the material aspirations of the society, and the bureaucracy has to be efficient and effective in the performance of its various functions towards the different section and the strata of the society. And efficient and effective performance of administrative functions required selection of bureaucracy on the basis of the merit and aptitude. This is also bring one another constraint on the fully realization concept of representative bureaucracy. Now, at the end of the day, we are going to conclude with a conclusion. Representative bureaucracy makes a modest contribution to the stability of the political institution by ensuring that the general feeling and interest of the all ground are taken into consideration, while the bureaucratic responsiveness to the public is influenced less by the representative character and more by other factors, should not be overlooked. And what is the important is that bureaucracy should be responsible and efficient or effective in every country or in everyday life of bureaucratic functions or any administrative functions, more so in the developing countries, regardless of whether it is a representative or not. So that's all. We took all the things with 3 examples: United States of America, Britain, and India, as well as what are the important provision or the criteria which should be took into consideration while implementing the policy of representative bureaucracy, and what were the limitations or disadvantages of representative bureaucracy. Is that clear? And from this point of view, we are going to conclude this or some of this video or some of this class. If you're the first time on my channel, then like it, share it, as well as subscribe it. Through a regular question and answer session, we will look all other different questions from the UPSC Civil Services, Political Science and International Relation in the Q&A session form. So that's all. Thank you. And if you are the first time on my channel, then like it, share it, as well as subscribe it. Also press the bell icon, and if there were any queries, comments, suggestion, advice, you may comment in the comment box. Thank you once again. Have a great day.